Hello and welcome to Mostly Minnesota Music Podcast Edition. I'm Ann Tracy. I'm here with my co-host,
Heather Baker.
Heather Baker, yes. And we are kind of doing another part of our series for the Me Too Minneapolis. Me Too Minneapolis is kind of a movement. It's a CD that's coming out on September 24th. There will be a virtual show coming from the Hook and Ladder, so that's kind of exciting. It is an effort to lift up voices of women, femme, non-binary folks, and to call out some of the things that are happening around the Me Too movement. And all of the proceeds go to Planned Parenthood Minnesota. So yay, thank you all for doing that. Thank you all very much for doing that. Today we're with Lydia, Liza. We've got Jourdan Meyers from JØUR and Tina Schlieske. So thank you all for coming. I said that usually start just ask folks, how did you get involved in this project and what's the inspiration for the song? And Lydia, you were the first to join, so you were the lucky contestants #1. Yeah.
I got an email asking if I wanted to be involved, and I've always been really preoccupied with the want for equality and consent education, and a huge supporter of Planned Parenthood. So it was just a no-brainer for me. And I had recently gotten out of a pretty abusive relationship, and I figured this was a really cathartic and productive way to do something with that energy. So I wrote my song Apple in My Pocket about sort of feeling like you had just figured it all out and you felt so grounded in yourself, and then all of a sudden your world gets rocked. And not only does your world get rocked, but you realize that you might love that chaos too. So it's a very honest look at how I have seen relationships and have since figured out that's not how to do it. But you have to be honest when you're writing. So yeah,
you have a line, I am the fruit of my sacrifice.
Yeah.
In that song. And I wanted to just ask you to explain it a little bit. I love the imagery of it.
Yeah. I feel like we're all kind of a product of the choices we've made. So that's what I was trying to say is I am the fruit of what I decided not to do, who I decided not to be, things like that. You are those choices embodied.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I love this whole CD. I love that song. I was listening to it while I was walking today. Everybody listening to it, and yeah. I think Jourdan, Jourdan, I got to see you play over the weekend. Sort of the pre-recording for the show coming up, and you were amazing. But can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved and about your song, Won't Stop Me?
Similar to Lydia, I just was bopping along, and I got the email, and I didn't know who Misha was. I just knew Krista was somehow involved, and anything that Krista has her hands on, Krista Valenskis, publicist and wonderful friend, for those of you who don't know. Anything that she has her hands on, I kind of feel like I can trust. And so I chose to say yes to the project, and I wrote a song called Won't Stop Me now, or Won't Stop. I can't remember what it's called. Won't Stop Me or Won't Stop Me Now, something like that. Anyways, I guess a lot of things kind of inspired that song. There were bits and pieces of it. I kind of had the infrastructure of part of it sort of I had already written before being invited to be a part of this, but this sort of gave me the inspiration and motivation to sort of finally funnel and narrow down the idea of what it should be about. I don't think I had a chorus or anything yet, just sort of this idea that I wanted to say, like, basically, I wanted to start to draw lines around myself and create boundaries in my world. And I recently had a conversation with a young 20-something who was like, boundaries, but I don't want to keep people out. And I'm like, actually, boundaries keep you in. Like, they help you define who you are so that you have the shape that you want to be. And you draw those lines so that you're not keeping people out. You're keeping the amoeba of who you are into the shape that you want to be, and you're becoming who you are and who you want to be. And so I feel like the verses on that song are a lot of that. And one of the things that really stuck out to me as a musician in the world is that, as I guess I've had a varying number of experiences of non-consensual contact with men in the music industry. And one of the maybe more like non-consent light is when people touch you after you play a show for them. And that's the thing that's always really bothered me. That just because I performed for you on stage and you feel like you know me doesn't mean I know you, and it's not okay for you to put your hands on my body, like either for a picture or for a nice job or a hand on the back or a hand on the shoulder or grabbing my hand or whatever, all of those things. And for me, it felt really important to say that, like, I don't want your hands on my body. And just because I've performed for you doesn't mean that I'm now a piece of your property or something that you have access to without permission or consent. And so that was kind of driving my initial thoughts when I first started writing the song. But as I kind of kept exploring it, I felt more and more the importance of vocalizing for when I need to have boundaries, and saying, like, over and over again, I feel like men have told me to be silent, or have told me I'm too intense, or have told me I'm too much, or I ask for too much, or I need too much, or and they want me to be quiet. and the song is like, no, no, I won't be quiet anymore. Like, I'm going to say what I need, and I'm going to say you can't do that, and I'm going to draw my lines in the sand, and you're not going to stop me from being who I am anymore. And no matter what form of oppression or abuse or like that takes from them. And anyway, so I know it's kind of rambly, but ultimately it was all these kind of things up from all over the world, like in my life, kind of coming together and to this one song. And I just felt like I needed to have more of an anthemic, like, power song, less than a more reflective song for me at that stage and that point in my process and my journey. So that's how I ended up with a song that had a lot of yelling in it.
Yes.
So
as I said, it was really fun to see you play that, and you just walked up on stage, and it's you and the keyboard, and you just nailed it. I mean,
my whole band was like, I have immunocompromised people in my family, we can't play. Like, oh God. Like, no, we can't be in public. And I was like, you're gonna make me yell all by myself. But it came together. So
we were yelling in our hearts. No one wants me to sing or yell on any kind of recording ever, but in my heart, I was yelling it. It was just
good.
really, I love that song even more live, even more,
wow.
I think that yelling really came through. It is a powerful song.
Thank you. Thanks, Anne.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
I was going to say, just hearing her talk right now, I'm like, I want her on my team, please.
I'll be on all your team. We're all on the same team.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Tina, you're up. How did you get involved? And tell us about your song.
I too know Krista. We go way back. From way back 90s. And so, and same, when Krista she's involved in a project, it's always going to be something really cool and something just wanting to be part of. And when she told me about this, I was like, yeah, I would love to. But of course, it was also, I was regretting it as soon as I said yes, because then I had to write a song. So it was sort of like, oh God. So there was like a lot of, procrastination and whatnot. And I didn't, because I just feel like and then just sort of, checking out other people's songs and things and about the subject, I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many other artists that are saying it far better than I possibly could. So what is it that I wanted to say. And I'm just sort of going more specifically, reading about the Harvey Weinstein trial and reading Jessica Mann's letter that she wrote and read in the court to Harvey. I found very powerful. I thought, I think any woman that has been a victim of any kind of abuse, and to have the strength to take that power back, knowing that the actions of that abuse, there's a permanence about it, that there's nothing you can change about it, but yet there's a power that you can at least get back by using your voice, much like what Jourdan was saying, just using your voice and using what it is that you have to express yourself. So basically, I just wrote a song from that letter and tried to give a further voice of like just the women that maybe, all those things that you're feeling inside and that you don't know how to say it or release it, and just try to put it out in that way, as best I could. But yeah, it was a great experience. And then to be part of all these other women in the Minneapolis music scene, I was just like, oh my God. I mean, and listening to this record and everybody's songs, it's just so cool. I mean, this is just like, so yeah, I'm super excited to be part of all this. So yeah.
What I love about it is the variety, the variety of musical styles, the variety of messages, although there are obviously some common themes. I know, Tina, you're saying it's no one wants a woman who wants it all, which Jourdan, I think, is what you were just telling us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it just really, because like reading her story was, it's, and much what Jourdan was saying too, like in the music business, you like being a woman, and there's a certain point that your ambitions and your drive may be mistaken as something else with a man, and especially men in power, and that they then in turn take your ambition and your enthusiasm for what you're doing and wanting to do as a form of like, oh, hey, well, yeah, and then all of a sudden then it becomes a bargaining chip, which is a bunch of, I don't know if I can swear in here.
you can, because we're not on the radio anymore because COVID.
Awesome.
So you can say whatever.
Well, it's just a bunch of fucking bullshit, basically. And it's like, and so it's so that's what the song was about as well. It's just, it's difficult being a woman that, you want to succeed in your business and succeed in whatever it is that you want to be, but yet there's definitely a price to pay, especially if the higher ups are all men. It's a very tricky place to navigate and, hold your own.
Well, and it's interesting, I think, as you say, when you have enthusiasm and passion for something, and the dude in the room thinks it's, oh, that passion must include me.
Yeah, exactly. And it's hard too when I mean, I'm not trying to stereotype, I know a lot of great men that,
yeah.
When a majority of men, the reason why they want to write music is because they want to get laid. And, and I think women, it's like there could be a slight difference of motivate, so then it's hard when you've got enthusiasm for, especially when you're in the music business, and that guys may take it as being like, oh, you must be into me. It's like, no, I just want, to open up for your fucking band, dude. Like, it's just, or I want to like, work in your studio without like, being, put in a position where, yeah. Anyway.
I never thought of it that way though. Guys write songs to get laid. Of course.
And I know women do too, but it's just kind of funny. It's like almost every male biography that you read is like, oh, I first started playing guitar because I wanted to get girls. It's just like, I mean, that's about every first beginning chapter of like a majority, but yeah.
Amazing. That's, yeah, I just loved all the songs. I just loved I was just listening just so much. So I work in the tech field. It's different, but there's even some undercurrents of that. You don't have to deal with that necessarily, but you're not taken as seriously if you're a woman. Yeah. So that's
definitely.
Yes. Mayda, thank you for being here too. We were hopeful, but we weren't sure if you would be able to make it. So Thanks.
Well, no, thanks for letting me come on still, and I'm sorry for the confusion and the kind of like the up in the air deal.
No, that's
But I definitely wanted to at least pop in and hear and see everybody. It's just, I don't even need to say anything. It's just nice to hear you guys talk and see everybody's faces and like meet new people. Like, I don't think I've ever met Jourdan or Tina, so that's cool. I made a hi.
I know. Nice to meet you, Mayda. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, what's that?
I was just gonna say, well, tell us how you got involved in the project, and then about Oxygen Tank, about your song too.
Okay. Well, I don't remember exactly how I got involved. I think I either saw an email and I hopped right on it, or I want to make up a story like Krista came to my house and begged me, but it didn't happen.
We'll go with that.
Yeah. But I feel that I am in a little bit different of a place with this, because I mean, I understand the kind of the fight and the struggle to be a minority within whatever that be, a woman, person of color, you have only one leg, like whatever. I completely identify with that feeling. And as a woman, as a, you know, musician in a mainly male dominated industry, I've always known that. Like, and I've never ever used, I don't intentionally or, you know, consciously, I've never used sex or my sexuality out of my music to gain power or whatever. So therefore, I don't think I've been, and I'm not saying this about everybody, I'm just talking for me. I've never been like, I've never felt that I was abused or, you know, there have definitely been lines crossed, that is for sure. But it never at any point like made me so mad and made me want to attack this subject specifically with anything. And the way I see music, the way I see myself in music is it's me against me. It's not me against male. It's not me against whatever, this sort of stereotype and this and this and this. It's just me. How can I make me better? Okay, this person or this group of people has an opinion, has an intention. I have my own, and I'm gonna just push my own through this whole thing. So mine is more of like a, I just feel this is like everybody has their individual story, right? And everybody knows that. And everybody has their own boundaries. So whatever might cross your boundaries might not cross mine. Whatever cross my boundaries might not cross yours. So I don't like to come out and say, you know, this person and this group of people, and at this time, I go through music, and I never, it's even hard for me to do these kinds of interviews because I would rather listen to my music. And that's why I do music, is because this is hard for me. This is hard.
Well, you're doing good.
Yeah.
Describing it.
You know, and Oxygen Tank is basically about how you know, as a woman, as we all are female identified or whatever, in the minority of whatever, being, you know, we are underwater, and we've always had to like try to keep above water somehow, whether it be family, whether it be abuse, whether it be sexuality, whether it be gender, community, race, whatever. We've always had to like tread, like, and men haven't had that, or, you know, the power, white people, whoever you're talking about, they have never felt that. And at the same time, we're doing things like this because we were all connected to an oxygen tank, and we're all trying to like give each other oxygen, even though we're all on oxygen and we all need it. So that's kind of what the story, that's what the song is about, is that, yeah, I'm here down with you, but take mine here. You can have mine too. And let me, you know, and get there. So rather than be like really depressed or really sad or really mad or really confused. Like, it's like, this is who we are. This is what we're trying to do. We just need this voice. And we're going to keep going until we get there. We need to live. Like, we do. We all need to live. And everybody knows, even the orange man needs to live. But, and you got to understand that I'm trying to write music in such a empathic manner, like where I try to compassion and like really try to understand even the enemy or the people who are the attackers or whoever, the protagonist, antagonist, you know. If you want to kill me, if you want to kill my family, I want to sit down and talk. I want to know why. Like, what made you want to do that? Okay, I'm okay with you. Okay, so you want to kill me, you want to end me or whatever. I'm wrong, I'm offending. But why? How am I doing that? Why do you think you feel that way? And that's sharing oxygen. Because people who abuse and people who point fingers and people who gaslight and people do that, there's a reason why they're doing it too. It's because they feel like they're underwater and they need oxygen. And so that's where we all have that common denominator. And then we have to figure out how to figure out that math problem together. God, I feel like I'm a freaking I'm sorry. I'm not here for a sermon.
No, what I wanted to say too is that's why we do these compilations. You know, there's so many different perspectives that are really, really important. And I completely agree with you. Like the radical compassion of seeing what's going on. Yeah, it just hurt people. And it's just been this cycle of abuse doesn't have to continue. And I think this is the first time I've seen a lot of people really actively trying to break that at once.
Yeah.
It needed to happen. And stuff still needs to happen. I mean, it's not going to stop. Things are always going to come up. And we're always going to have to be tackling something. And there's always going to be somebody offended, you know. And we're just going to have to, like, deal with it. And that sucks. Yeah, but it's reality. And so let's just, I mean, there's always going to be air. You know, like, I don't know. Yeah, but the important thing is that we keep trying, I guess.
Yeah. I think it's like, it sounds like, you know, it's a lot of what you're saying is, you know, that what a lot of people say when they say they want you know, a piece of the pie or something, that they think that it's just, you know, when you say something like, you know, Black Lives Matter, that for some reason there are a lot of, you know, insecure white people that think that means it's taking something away from me. It's like, it's not. It's just meaning that we all matter. And especially right now, Black Lives Matter because of everything that's happening right now in this country. And it's like, agree, everybody needs oxygen, everybody deserves oxygen. You know, there's not one person that deserves it more or less. And I think that's a really cool, what you're saying, Mayda. It's just such a cool concept, and it's just a really cool visual, deep thing that you just laid on us. It was very cool. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm inspired by everyone around me, so I owe it to everybody. That's why I do music, is because I've, you know, been so inspired by you guys, by artists, by people who aren't afraid. I think that's the important part. You know, you can't. It's gotten to a point where you better just be who you, because it's gonna come out in good ways and bad.
Oh, yeah.
Better off be honest and be open to change and open to hear other sides. And there's gonna be somebody against you always, no matter what. Even if you're not an artist, even if you're like Nancy with the fence in Blaine, like you're gonna, you know,
yeah.
Your dog might be against you. Okay, Nancy, gotta deal with it. Go right along, Nancy.
That's good. That's good. Well, yeah, I love the idea of the sharing the oxygen tank, because inherent is that you share it, but you need it too.
Hmm. Yeah.
You know?
And I mean, if some people just are so giving and so generous and so, like, it really has to things have to come from your soul and your spirit in order to keep going. It can't be just material. It can't just be press. It can't just be likes and subscribes,
Mhm.
and comments. It has to be, I really believe this. This is in my heart, That's what'll keep you going. That's your oxygen.
Yeah.
It's a strong point, and there's just so much of this album that I think, and one of the things that I love about it is that it is an opportunity for a lot of conversations, to share the oxygen, or as some of the others have said, to get people to raise their voice, and you all have such lovely voices, I think it's the sugar that comes with the medicine, the beauty of the music itself.
Yeah.
That's the message come in a very nice way. But that gets people to listen.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just nice to be amongst, as an artist, it's taken me a long time, but, it's so important to take yourself seriously. And I think it's a job that I feel, being an artist, I feel very privileged to be able to have that sort of expression and lifestyle, because I do think, especially if anything's proved us now with everything that we're going through, how much we need the arts, and how much that as human beings, how that lifts us up, and how it makes us better and gives us voice and empathy for the people that don't have it right now, or may not have it, or it's such an important job that we do, I think, personally. And I think that, like, all these songs are so important. It's like, I think that all it takes is that one person that may listen to this, whether it be the abuser or the someone who was abused, to kind of go, oh, and that's why we do what we do. And I think that's why it was so great that Krista put this project together, and that this is going to be out there for people to, hear and feel,
And to give a nod to Krista, she is very instrumental in the work, but she is somebody who's lifted up women and our you folks, people who have lifted up women for a long time. When I quit writing for the Twin City Daily Planet, she was the one who said, you should do something on your own. It's only because of her that I'm here today doing this, which is,
right.
And I think that she's got, and that's something that we can all share with each other, lift up the next person.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, and I think we're at a point now where, where people understand, and there's more room to, if there's no chair at the table for you, you bring your own chair, and you bring one for someone else.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you bring a chair for someone else, then they can learn about your chair.
Yeah.
They can sit in your chair. I don't know. I don't. Yeah. But I
thought it
want
was
to say sorry.
impeccable.
I have to go, but thank you guys for letting me hop on and listen to you and say whatever I just said.
Oh,
Thank you.
great.
Thank you for joining us. And I will say, you had a video come out very recently, and I have enjoyed it for Firefly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Mayda.
All right, guys.
Bye, Mayda. Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
It's fun for us to see when people get to meet each other here. That's fun. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all for doing that. And I have okayed this with the questioner before I asked this. But Lydia, I was going to ask you a little bit. You have had a very up and down summer. You've had a very interesting summer with some of the. I mean, you really brought the Me Too mini up. I know that the album started long before summer, and you guys have been working on it for certainly 6 months or longer, probably. But
yeah.
But a lot of the Me Too Minneapolis stuff came to focus, Lydia, with some of your work this summer. Tell us about it if you want.
Well, yeah. So I wanted to amplify the voices of others. That was my main intention, and I had figured out through a group of friends that the boys I used to hang out with in high school were actually assaulting all of my friends. So I was just enraged, and we started I don't know, I just got all the women I knew. We were all just posting the names of these boys, and I thought it was so important for people to see it's not just Harvey Weinstein in Hollywood. It's your teacher, it's your neighbor, it's your best friend, it's your dad. Like, just for us to make sure it absolutely hit home. And as it kept going, it just got bigger and bigger, and it was more and more people, and I got like 5 cease and desists, and it was like,
Whoa.
it was getting like,
Really?
very legal. So and it also, the timing with the Black Lives Matter movement and how important that needs to be in it and centered, even though everything is absolutely connected, it just started to get too dangerous to release these names. But I've never seen more people have conversations like that. And I had thousands of people just stating a name in my inbox on Instagram, just thousands of people telling me these like terrible stories. So as soon as that happened, I was able to, like, behind the scenes now, I'm working on a collective to mobilize funds for survivors of sexual assault and make sure they have lawyers, and just so it's all free and they can be safe. So that was one good thing that came out of it. But we also were able to raise $6,000 for consent education in these Annex Teen Clinic and Family Tree Clinic. But I also really came to reckon with my own abuse, and I have been going through the most intensive therapy I've ever done in my whole life the last couple of months because of this. And that I wouldn't have been pushed to really face myself and everything had that not happened. It was really like explosive, and I really think it made all of us stop. And it was absolutely terrifying, but it was it felt important. Yeah.
It is important.
Yeah.
It is important. I think that is one way that we protect ourselves, our friends. I have 3 daughters, which are always foremost in my mind and something like that. And it's not, as you well know, it's a hard thing to do. I mean, it's a hard thing to do because you want to make sure that the information that you're getting is right. And, you want to believe her, but also it's.
Yeah. That was another reason why we had to cut the names too, was of course believe survivors, but we were also just getting in a lot of legal trouble. And absolutely, I mean, I completely understand. I understand every angle of it, and I think that's where a lot of people had trouble with me or with the whole thing, was I was seeing nuance, but you can't at the same time. You have to hold this all so true and so compassionately, and it's so traumatic, and it's so difficult and so brave for people to say anything. So you're holding all these people at once, and it puts you at an impasse, absolutely. And I think that's why people don't do that very often, release the names of an entire city. It's because who the fuck did what to do what, and then this, and then holy shit, and then everybody's on fire. And it's just what I came to this conclusion that none of us got out of that safe. Not like everybody has work to do, and that's okay, and that should be empowering, and that should really make us all look at each other with a lot more compassion, because it fucking sucks, but it's absolutely like the main thread for all of us is that we're all survivors of something. Men, women, non-binary folks, queer, femme, everybody, we're traumatized by something, and we really all deserve to look at it and find a way out, I suppose, or find a way to kind of reintegrate those dark parts.
Yeah. Or just doing what you've done is just having the conversation.
Yeah.
You know, having the conversation and knowing that, you know, when this has happened to other women, that they don't feel alone, and they don't feel, I think what to me, ever since the hashtag Me Too movement, for me that excites me is, besides, you know, very like, you know, empathetic and amazing men that are then coming and going, holy crap, what, you know, tell me, like, what did I do? Have I ever done this? You know, like, and actually having these conversations. And so we can teach young men, boys, and then they're in part women and young girls, like how we act together. Like, you know, I just read online another guy that got, you know, arrested for he exposed himself to a woman in a car and all this stuff. And one of the women worked as a night manager at a hotel. And basically she said, you know, it was kind of interesting. I'm just going to cut it super short, but she got called to the room and the guy answered the door completely naked. And so her thing was, and definitely like as a woman, it's like, well, I mean, that happens. Like, you know, we're so used to, and I know when I was younger, I'm sure that there's a lot of shit that would have been called like abuse or something, but you get so conditioned as a woman, like a guy flashing you, or like fucking like, hey, you got a dick underneath, like, or just whatever they might say. And just as a woman, you just kind of like, oh God, okay, whatever. It's like dealing with the cat calls and everything like that. And like, no, that shit's got to fucking stop. It's got to fucking stop, because it's not that whole thing of like, well, boys will be boys and it's just a man. It's just like, no, it's just no. Stop. You're a human being. Men are human. We are human. So fucking act like a human, you know? And also just quit pissing in public. Fucking go to the bathroom and the toilet. God, that pisses me off too. It's like, oh, you're just jealous because you can't. It's like, no, because I'm a fucking, you know, human being, and I don't want to take a piss, you know, on the side of the road and like possibly like, God, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, that's like so light of the subject of what I'm talking about, but it's like that, you know, it's just it's
entitlement. It's just this entitlement, and it's learned entitlement. It's not, it doesn't have to be that way. That was one of the reasons why I was like it's so big now that what we need to look at is preventative care rather than, I mean, obviously, I think everybody should be in therapy, but we really need to start consent education. Some people aren't even getting consent education. Yeah. And it's got to go back to like kindergarten, and you ask for a hug. Like,
well, like the language of consent didn't even exist when I experienced my abuse. I didn't have any way to say, I don't consent to this. I tried to say no, and those words weren't substantial enough, or were misunderstood, or weren't powerful enough to be interpreted as non-consent. So I think you're 100% right. Like, that the more people understand consent, and not just the people who need to speak the words of consent, but the people who need to interpret words and understand them as consent or not consent. It was just crossing my mind today that, like, if a person that you are intimate with is not enthusiastically yes then it's a no.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if it's not an enthusiastic yes, like, if there's any room for doubt, like, it's a no.
Yeah.
Yeah, stop. It's like, and like, there's so much misunderstanding around that. And so I think I agree, like, that the focus needs to be on, like, what can be. And I've had friends come to me, men, who were called out in private. One in particular, a close friend of mine, who was called out by someone for being emotionally abusive, and he was totally wrecked by it and has been getting therapy and has been working on figuring out how to be better, and I'm like really
That's so beautiful.
happy that that's happening. Am I proud of these people for getting that done? It's like, I don't want to go that far. I'm not ready to say I'm proud of you for like reaching the level of acceptable.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
the place that women are supposed to operate from at all times.
Yep.
Yeah, like for you to reach a standard of what's acceptable and appropriate, I'm not proud of you for getting yourself to 0. But
Yeah.
I'm grateful that it's happening. I'm grateful that we're operating on a level ground, hopefully soon-ish, depending on who's involved. And like the other piece of it is, I've had guy friends be like, what now? What do we do? And I'm like, well, you're aware now. Like, your job is to pass the torch. Like, you need to educate your peers. You like need to understand that women can yell and scream, but they're not going to hear me. They're going to hear you. Unfortunately, whether I like it or not, like, your position of privilege gives you the ability to communicate with your peers and with your male cohorts that their actions are inappropriate. So it's up to you to learn what it looks like when a man is soliciting or whatever, like that they're bringing in a girl backstage and they're giving her drinks. And I know it's uncomfortable, but it's up to you to say, like, hey, why are you giving that 20-year-old girl drinks tonight? How is she getting home? Are you taking her home? What are you going to do when you take her home? Does she want to go home with you? Like, are you sure she's 18?
Yeah.
Are you like, I mean,
Right.
like that, like these guys need to start asking their friends these questions, because there is no HR department in music. There is no HR department to go to. There's no one to report to if you've experienced abuse or if you have a complaint about a coworker, because our social life is our work life, is our social life, is our work life, is our social life. So we become the only people who can be responsible for ourselves, and there's no accountability. And so what we need is for men who have positions of privilege and who have learned to understand the nuance to start educating their peers, and also to go to therapy, and also to go to trainings, and to also like do these things not because it's the right thing to do, but because they want to protect the women they care about as friends and as, partners, as like collaborators, as co-workers, to be, formal and in what we are working. That's our job. So I don't know. That's my sort of, I'm on to you, Lydia. I'm with you on that for sure.
Yeah.
On the consent education. Yes.
Yeah. It's obviously a huge and such a big conversation, but we just need to break it down and make it simple again and have it be some uncomfortable conversations and some education. And one of the things that I posted that probably got the most feedback was, I just posted, assume that I have your name. What story do you think of? And there were so many men who messaged me like, holy fucking shit. Like,
Yeah.
I thought of all this stuff. And then I was just like, go to therapy.
No, but God, but Lydia, that's really, what a cool, and I don't mean cool like, but what a great way to get, because I think, we could write a billion of these records, right? A billion of them, and nothing's going to change unless men also, to borrow what we were talking about earlier, come to the table with some form of first of all, listening to women, and listening in the sense of, that they may not think, I mean, unfortunately, and it's sort of just society, and being a gay woman, I haven't been quite in that position of when a man all of a sudden says, you know, hey, I like you, you know, and I like you. And it's like, and all of a sudden, like the girl inside is going, oh my God, oh my God, like yes, I will do whatever. And, you know, and then misinterpreting all that kind of gray area that then goes with it. Like where the guy thought, well, hey, I said I liked you. So what's the problem? So I grabbed your ass. So I did this. So I like you. So what's wrong, you know, and not realizing that maybe that woman did not have the strength to say, actually, I feel kind of uncomfortable about that. I don't want to do that. You got to be a fucking gentleman and realize that, you know, just because you like a girl doesn't mean it's okay to do whatever it is that you think you can, you know, and even in the most subtle ways of, you know, just getting too close in her space, you know, her, you know, like some of the stories that, you know, reading on the Binders Facebook page of like that woman, that poor woman, like waiting to get paid. And then the guy that's paying her gets really like up at her. I mean, that kind of shit. It's just, that to me is just as bad and just as scarring, because then I know as a woman artist, if that had happened to me, I'd be like, I don't want to get paid anymore by that guy. And I would be afraid. And I'm trying to express myself and be a musician in a venue. And then yet I'm afraid to do that. And that fucking sucks. That's just cutting off women and their creativity and who they are, just, you know, just completely. And it's just sad. I mean, it's just, yeah. Anyway, I could go on and on too. Sorry.
Yeah, no, but it's true.
Well, I think part of it too is that like communicating and accepting that it's clumsy, it's messy. These conversations aren't clean, they aren't filtered, they aren't, you know, like when someone says they like you and then they grab your ass, but you want them to like you, but you don't want them to grab your ass. Like that's a messy conversation. And it might end with you not being liked anymore.
Yeah.
And that really sucks. Because you want to be liked. Everybody wants to be liked, right? I mean, and for dudes, it's like for them, it's like, I want to be, you know, sexy. I want to be mysterious. I want to like go with the flow. And if I were to look at her and be like, do you want to fuck right now? And she says no, well, then it loses energy and it's all awkward and it's weird. And there you are, like, just now do we just kiss or do we go our separate ways? Like, is it over? Like, I mean, it's messy. It's super uncomfortable. But like, we have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable if we're going to be healthy, because life is dissonance. And if we're going to live in a world together, then we need to be okay with holding both. And we need to be okay with saying it's going to be weird, but it's going to be healthy. And like, we'll get past it, we'll practice, and we'll get better so that we can say, no, I don't want to fuck, but yes, we can keep making out or whatever. Like,
exactly.
You know, and it doesn't, like that, but it takes time. And it takes time as a shift in society, a shift in our ethos, a shift in our expectations. But it takes a community of people working together, you know, agreeing together and basically accepting a new set of standards. And that doesn't come overnight. It takes time.
No. And I've been trying to practice just this both and mindset where multiple things are true all the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. All the time.
All the time. But, you know, just going back really quick to what you were saying about the language of consent, you know, because we've got 2 kids, and one of the things that we try to, you know, teach our son is definitely, you know, because like, you know, way back in the day, it was like no means no and all this stuff. And my partner, Justine, she'd always tell our son, it's like, actually, it's not no. It's like you wait for a yes, and then you ask again to make sure you keep asking and checking in, and it's only a yes is when you hear that yes, and it's an honest yes after, then it's okay. But, you know, it's, you know, and then the other thing too that I found, like having kids, like a girl and a boy, like raising a boy was pretty much, you know, here's how you use the condom, like have fun. And then I felt like raising our girl, it was like literally getting her ready to battle war. It's like, don't wear this. Make sure you don't do that. Make sure you don't leave your drink alone. Make sure you have some friend with you. Don't leave the bar by yourself. I mean, it was just like these fucking rules. And like, and now it's even worse, I feel, for young women, like how the weight of trying to just, you want to be that, carefree, like what you were saying, Jourdan, carefree, like, hey, I'm cool, and like, and just, yeah, I'm down with this, and like, but at the same time, you can't, as a woman, you can never let your guard down or anything, because it's just shit happens, and it's just it's heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. The more and more, like, hearing the conversations of all these women, of like, I'm absolutely, even more women than I even knew, the abuse and the stories of like, well, I didn't want to totally stop him because then I thought like he would, then he wouldn't like me, so I just ended up having sex with him. Or it's like, I'm like, fucking hell, and it just, from like the full on, abuse stuff. And it's just so it's so good that this is happening and conversations are being had and people are being educated and yeah.
My hobby is I go to protests and rallies. Seems to be what I do with all my free time now. I work with the Women's March. I live stream for the Women's March, but one of the positive things, and it was there was a Youth for Consent education thing at the Capitol, and it was back in the olden days before COVID. Other than that, I can't tell you if it was February, or I can't tell you if it was November. It was back in the good olden days. It was so well attended. It was amazing. It was so well attended. Men, women, non-binary, femme, just everyone under the sun was there. And I thought that now everyone under the sun, under the age of 22, maybe. I mean, it was heavily a young. This is where my kids are like, don't go. I'm like, psych, I got a job there. But it made my heart feel so good because, yeah, when I was in high school, I went to a Catholic high school. There was just say no.
Right.
For the girls. And now I went to an all-girls Catholic high school, living the dream right there. But, but it was kind of one message for the girls and one message for the boys, very distinctly. I think if you were lucky enough to go to a co-ed school, often they would put you in different rooms. There was just no discussion of that. So I think we have a real opportunity with young people understanding that. I think what we need to do is work on the 22 and up, or I just think it's a different lesson. And in some ways, I guess the thing is, what's the advantage to them? We know what the advantage is because you wake up the next morning feeling like shit when something happens. When you haven't really given consent, or you have whatever it is, you just wake up and it's what so many of the songs on the CD get you feel the shame and the embarrassment on top of you just were in a place you didn't want to be,
Yeah.
And I think that men need to realize that that's the consequence of that. Wouldn't you like to have healthier relationships with the people you're
No kidding. And I think this time also people are realizing how many of their behaviors are toxic. And I think for a long time people refuse to look at that part of themselves in general. But if we can take down the stigma against that too, of facing yourself, we are bound to have way more honest conversations and way more healthy relationships. And yeah, it's all going to be okay.
Yeah. I mean, do you guys think that most women we're hardwired to sort of like, why we keep quiet or just the people pleasing thing, and like what you were saying, Anne, you wake up the next day and you have the shame and the regret and the embarrassment and all that, sorry, my puppies are going crazy right now back there.
They're agreeing.
Yes, they are agreeing. But just that I find it interesting how women, that we are hardwired to sort of just please, and that if we do experience pain or that kind of thing, that we just we don't say anything. You know, I think that that's the other exciting thing about Lydia. Like when you start something like that, giving the permission for other women to say, you know what, actually that happened to me too. You know, because typically we don't want to cause a fuss. Women I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to cause a fuss. I just want to you know, I should just keep everything.
It's survival. Like
Literally
you gotta live.
survival.
Yes.
Like you can't stop and say like, wow, I got my feelings hurt, or I got a part of my soul crushed or robbed, or my body violated. Like you got to keep your feet moving, because if you don't, you wither away and you die. Like
You get gaslit into infinity.
Yeah, like it's survival. We have to keep moving. Like we have to keep going, because if we don't, we'll fucking get eaten alive out there. It's just like, what choice do we have? Dudes, like, I'm not going to say that every dude in the world has had it easy, but like when you talk about, like, I have friends who I've said, yeah, I can't walk home alone if you leave. I can't go out tonight if you're not coming. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't leave a drink around. I can't, like, we have so many rules and things we have to keep up with and stay on top of. Messages literally that don't flag them. Don't keep them awake at night. Don't affect their plans. If they get too drunk, they can get home in any kind of way that they want. Like, whatever. Like, they have options.
Yeah.
But like if we exercise any kind of liberty, like in some ways, unfortunately, like our physical body becomes our bondage, and we are enslaved to what could happen to that body that we occupy on the streets at night, or in the day at work, or wherever. And if we want to stay alive, like, and not have it happen again, like, you just got to put your head down and keep going. But like, I think it's not healthy. It's a coping mechanism that we as a society have accepted and embraced, but it's not functional. It's dysfunctional. And, you know, there's two sides to that. There's the violator and there's the violated. And you're right, Lydia, we all need therapy. We all need fucking therapy. Like,
It's not a big deal.
Let's throw some money at it. Let's get some therapy from people. Like,
seriously, I wish we had universal health care.
Yeah.
How fortunate we can't get up on that too much.
But how fortunate are we, like, now it you know, whereas it's still a work in progress, but back in the day, like if a woman called out an accuser, and let's say that he is like in a prominent position, a football coach, a beloved teacher, a political figure, whatever, people are just like, oh, but do you really want to ruin his life for that one little thing he did for you? Can't you just take one for the team and just let it go? And then so a woman's mentality is like, oh yeah, because I don't want to ruin his whole life because of that, you know. And now it's like, that's what's so amazing of like having seen the Harvey Weinsteins, and you know, and there's quite a few others that, you know, like Orange Fuckface could be like, you know, taken down as well for that reason of, you know, who, you know what, because you don't want to ruin your life and your perfect whatever, but yet you completely annihilated this other person's life, you know, from your action, your selfish action that you've done. Yeah, anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely one of the big fears I had about coming forward about some of the people that I did. But at the same time, yeah, retribution. Like, I was like, okay, I've been living with this for this long. And also, if you're in this game and you are not playing fair at all, you should not get to fucking play.
Mm-hmm.
You should, if you're just being a shithead, you should not get to play. It's that simple. It's that
take his cards away.
just time out, go sit on the bench. You cannot play until you get therapy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's not on that.
It's like seeing one mouse in the kitchen. If they've done it once, chances are they've done it. And they've done it before, or they'll do it again.
Yeah, that's a Tuesday night for Dan. He doesn't even remember doing that.
Oh my God. I have a whole huge theory on why men can't corroborate on their abuse. It's because they don't fucking remember, because it was nothing to them. It
Yeah.
was me that got hurt. It was me that got violated. But when it's a pattern of behavior, you don't feel when you violate somebody unwittingly. You don't
Yes.
have scars. You don't have baggage. You don't have anything. Brett Kavanaugh doesn't remember a goddamn thing from that night because that night was nothing to him.
Yep.
You know, like, why would he remember that?
It's so true.
I mean, I believe that he doesn't remember it because it was nothing to him. He wasn't the one violated. He
Yeah.
wasn't the one damaged. He imposed himself. They've imposed themselves, and they walk away and they forget about it. But we have been carved out, and we've been wounded, and we've been violated, and we've been abused. Like, and we carry it in our bodies with us, in our hearts, in our minds, in our life. It's
Yeah.
just so stupid. It's just so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
So fucking stupid.
This is absolutely, that.
I love it. Like we've got all these intelligent, talented women, and it just boils down to so fucking stupid.
But it is that it's the simple. It's just stupid.
Exactly.
Well, and it's not even a he's stupid. I mean, that may be true too, but it's stupid. It's stupid because people get away with it because it's been going on for generations and generations and generations and generations and
Yes.
since
Ad infinitum.
yeah, and that is why I had to grab this from that is why I think this is so powerful, because when you start to when you normalize the conversations, I don't want to say when you normalize the activity, but when you normalize the conversations about the activity, each one more than the next. I mean, it's quite literally, but also that does kind of give word to, because there is a huge shame part to it. There is a, well, was I too friendly? Did I have too much to drink? Was I? Shouldn't matter.
And and it's like, it's like, I tell like my daughter, it's like, if you want to walk down the street naked, you have every fucking right to do that. And it's not the guy's right to all of a sudden, well, she was naked, so I just fucked her, or I did that to her, or whatever. It's like, that is just, it's that mentality. It's like, that's what I'm sick of too. It's again, like more of like what we're speaking of as a woman. It's like right away, we've got all this checklists that we have to check off, and things that we can do, things that we can't do, and things it's like God, I just get, it's so fucking stupid, and I'm so fucking sick of it.
Good. One of my daughters, the rule at the school that I never paid attention to, one of the many, when she was in grade school, she couldn't wear yoga pants. And I said, why can't she wear yoga pants? It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Well, it's too suggestive to the boys. I said, why in the hell is my daughter's attire any of their goddamn business?
Exactly.
It's what rules do they have that, well, they're not allowed to wear shorts or something,
Well, and it's because if she's wearing those pants, she's tempting them. And they're men. How can you expect them to control their impulses? They have no self-control, so she needs to take care of the men by wearing pants for them that won't cause them to lose self-control. Duh.
Yeah.
It was one of the few times that I really laid into that principle, because I was like that. And I get the text while I'm out running, so I myself am wearing jogging pants as I'm yelling at her.
Right.
Also, I'm sure she's wearing a hoodie. She lives in a hoodie, but that's it, Jourdan. And now these boys have learned. That they're more important than the girls.
Yep.
Yeah, no sense of responsibility. It's her fault. Look at what she was wearing. I lost control because of her. She made me lose control. It's like, that's, are you kidding me?
Can't even.
But like, I grew up like at a church school. I went to a Christian school when I was in junior high, right when men were starting to have hormones, or little boys really, like, just started noticing, and we had like curves and figures and whatever, and like everything was don't tempt the men. We need to care for our brothers in Christ. We need to take care of the men by not causing them to stumble. Your body is a stumbling block. You are the one that needs to say no. And if you don't say no, then it's your fault. If you get pregnant, it's your fault. If you get an abortion, you've sinned. You've also killed another human being. If you do, like, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And there's so much shame, and it's all about the woman. And I'll be honest, like, we live in a society that is patriarchal in nature, and it was founded on Christian values. And I think it's safe to say those things are kind of going hand in hand to make us all be the one who starts it, to make us all be the one responsible for men's actions. And you know what? In a real healthy world, we're all responsible for our own actions, and we're all responsible for our own feelings, and not each other's.
Exactly.
Boundaries.
I'm a
Let's
disciple
draw
of
the
you.
lines around ourselves.
I'm a follower. I'm a disciple.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jesus, really.
So we need to work on the kids. We need to get to work on the older.
Yeah.
Luckily, there's music for all ages. But I do think it is. I mean, it is so important to have something like this come up where, you know, I think it's. And do you know that already $2,000, nearly $2,000 has been donated for Planned Parenthood from this? It hasn't even.
That's awesome. That's wonderful.
I hope it'll be more. I mean, we have barely gotten started.
That's it. I think it's just barely getting started. I think this is but the quality of it is amazing. Just the quality of the music is amazing. It is, you want to listen to it in your car. I listen to it in my car nonstop. Now I have nowhere to go these days, but all the way to Kowalski's and back, man, I'm listening to this. But and I listen to it when I walk, you know, but I think that, but then the messages too. And I was a little hesitant at first because I thought, oh, it's not a downer at all. I think it's very empowering.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. I think I think all the array of songwriting, the different approaches, that it's amazing. I mean, it's just so, I think it's just so cool. And it's just so, you know, I'm just, like I said, I'm just so proud. I mean, there's like these women, all of you guys and all these other women on this album. It's like, to feel that as a woman, to have all these that care about their art, that care about their expression, that it's and how they take it, and it's so important, and it's important to put it to words and give it voice and give it life. And so it's just, yeah, I love it. I love it.
Wow, it's really special that we got asked to do this.
Yes, I'm feeling very good about it.
I just in my fantasy head, I could picture all of us backstage at First Avenue and everybody doing their song, and just be such an amazing show. I hope we get to do it, like everybody on this record, to be able to play a show live would be so inspiring and so amazing. I mean, it would just be so cool. I mean, I'd love to see all you guys play live, and everybody else on the record play live. It'd be so cool.
Well, it's really cool that also somehow, like, Krista, obviously it's been her DNA, but like she's done all this work to bring all these people together, and now look at this like network of support that we have. Like, these women, some of them I knew, maybe half, but maybe half I don't or haven't met yet. And it's like, now, I mean, it doesn't matter that we've never met before. Like, I have all of you in my pocket, in my corner. And I know, like, to have that support, to have that solidarity is so valuable. And so it is not only empowering, but it brings a sense of safety. And I just feel a relief that, like, I have people I can trust. Like,
I mean,
that I know.
yeah, especially in an arts community where it's really common for women to be pitted against each other.
Totally.
Yeah. This is like probably the most empowering thing I've been a part of.
Yeah, I think I've got, like, what is that disease where Munchausen's or not, whatever, where, you know, it's like when I was like first starting, like I would get, like, I'd give my demo to a record label or something, and they say, oh, we've already got too many women on the label, we don't need another woman, or no, you can't be part of that tour because there's already a woman headlining, and it's just like, oh my God, are you serious? And now it's like to be a part of an all female, you know, album, or non-binary, or, you know, whatever. It's like without it being just the white male controlling the situation and being the star of the situation, it just being, you know, a lot of voices that are just so deserving to be heard.
Yeah.
And it all starts in Minneapolis. I mean,
Yes.
I think this is gonna, you know, it would be really wonderful to see, you know, the Me Too Minneapolis, the Me Too Austin, the Me Too New York, the Me Too Chicago. I mean, I would love to see this kind of thing happen in lots of different places. California, Tina, you could get that one going in your spare time.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's I mean, there are so many things about it. And as I said, it's, and I know there are different issues in the music industry for many reasons, but a lot of these things slip into everybody's life, you know, as well. So I think and Jourdan, you just said the word you know, I think the safety, and there is safety in numbers. And the more that we remember that helps us bring that extra chair to the table.
Exactly.
We burst in. So
Exactly.
well, just one last, after doing this CD and thinking about, I mean, obviously you're very thoughtful, all of you very thoughtful about what brought you to the inspiration for the songs. What advice now would you give to your younger self?
Oh my gosh.
I know.
How much younger?
Yeah.
Maybe like a few weeks ago.
Some
Right.
days.
Yeah.
Okay, you were the first one to join the call if you want.
Yeah, so Lydia, that's
Oh, sorry.
Kidding. Tina, you were going to go.
Jourdan, you're so funny.
well, I was just going to say, you know, because all this was just reminding me of just, you know, thinking about the industry and for me, it would probably I've personally found what I've always, if I'm looking back at my career and some of the things I regret is that I let men, I let their ego, I wouldn't speak up for my own ideas and what I wanted a lot of the time because the male ego is a fragile ego and I wanted them to like me in a sense of like working with me, whether it be a musician to a producer to an engineer to a sound guy, and just kind of playing dumb and, oh, you know, sometimes, you know, not all the time, but just there were certain situations I'd walk away from and go, God, why didn't I just, you know, have the fucking, you know, tits to say something, you know, just like, I should have said like, no, I want this, or like, I want, or I don't know. I think of just feeling more deserving that I belonged in that room with all those guys and, you know, and that my ideas and who I was, you know, as an artist mattered as well, just as much as they did in the room. There's probably tons more, but that's just what, you know, comes to mind that I would probably tell I know it doesn't have anything to do with hashtag Me Too, but just talking about voices and things. And
I think it does. I think it does. I mean, it's standing up for yourself.
yeah.
Using your voice.
Yeah.
Feeling safe to use your voice. I think I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I would just tell myself, keep your side of the street clean. And that's all you can do. That's it.
I love it.
That's literally all you can do.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So buy a good broom or snowblower.
Yeah, get a really good broom. Get a really good
That was
broom.
really good broom.
Yeah, get a really good broom.
Really fucking stupid good broom.
We should get like witch's broom tattoos after this.
That would be. I do like that.
Yeah.
I love it.
Young Jourdan, I would say there's a lot of assholes out there, and you don't need a single one of them. You have everything in you that you need to be successful and to achieve your goals and to become who you're going to be. And there are women along the way who will champion you and support you, who you need to know and you need to connect with. And you don't need a single one of those motherfuckers.
Yes.
That was what I would tell her. It's like,
Nice.
you don't need them.
Hallelujah.
Don't need,
And
yeah.
Amen.
Would young baby Jordan happen to say that to young Tina as well, please?
Young Tina, you had everything in you that you need to be successful. You are amazing, and there is a fucking colony of women, just a bunch of fucking bees ready to be on your side, and we got you. We're gonna make it together.
Thank you.
You don't need them.
Nice.
You don't need them.
We don't need those assholes.
Nice.
No.
And she
Oh.
managed to get the B side in there too. So
I
nice
know,
try.
I know. Did you catch that? That was like a little like
You good.
that in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all for doing this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to remind folks, it's the Me Too Minneapolis. You can find it online, Me Too Minneapolis. It's going to be released on September 24th. And there will be a virtual concert through the Hook and Ladder. And I think that the tickets are now, I think Krista just sent me the link. The tickets are now available, so you can get your tickets now. I think you can pre-order this as well. And the funding is going to Planned Parenthood, Minnesota. Did I forget anything?
I don't think
So
so.
we are sponsored by The Current. Who else are our sponsors? Music
I'm gonna-
Administration.
Women's March Minnesota. I'm going to be in
Women's March
trouble if I don't say that one because
Women's March Minnesota, and mostly, who else? There was a third sponsor, and it's in writing in a long email, probably with a lot of replies to it.
Yeah. Oh my God. I know.
Is it Music in Minnesota? I mean, that's a publication. I'm not sure. Anyways,
well,
thank you, everyone.
I'll look
for
it up and
sponsoring.
I'll add it in the notes. We're so
Thank you, sponsors.
thank you, sponsor. Yes,
Thank you,
yes, yes,
sponsors.
yes, yes, and thank you. It's such an important CD, and it's an honor to talk with all of you, and it's an honor to try to lift it up a little bit. So, thank you.
Thanks, Heather.
Thank you.
Thanks, Heather. Thanks, Anne. Appreciate it. Lydia,
Thanks.
Tina, so good to see you guys.
I love you all.
You
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, this was fun. You guys are awesome.